Hey, welcome to Encore. I'm George.
I'm Dylan.
And we just saw Oculus.
Oculus.
Thank you.
Which, odd choice of name, because when I originally saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be named something different, and then they changed it to Oculus, which...
What does Oculus mean? I don't think it has anything to do with this movie. You're going to quickly check. So, essentially, if you obviously haven't seen much about this, one of the huge draws of this movie is the fact that, the girl that played Amy Pond in the Doctor Who series, Karen Gillian? Something along those lines.
I don't know, she's just...
I feel so bad for not knowing that.
So pretty.
But, she's in this, and of course...
An oculus, plural, oculi, from the Latin oculus, eye, detonates, so it's the Latin word for eye, essentially, detonates a circular opening in the central of the dome, or in a wall. Okay.
Okay, that has even less to do with this movie.
Yeah, because it's got to do with a mirror and not an eye.
Maybe, I don't know. But, okay, so, yeah, that's one of the main...
Wait, sorry. It's off topic. The ghosts...
They have silver eyes, is that what you're saying?
They're reflecting, kind of like the light's coming through. That could be a reference to Oculus.
It's a very weak one.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so, beside the main draw, this is also advertised as a really great horror movie that rivals The Conjuring. Which is saying quite a bit, because that's actually a really good horror movie, too.
I don't know, because I think James Wan's work right now is referencing, in a sense, like, James Wan now is what Sam Raimi was back in, like, 1981 to 1993.
I think Sam Raimi's still really good. Did you see the Spider-Man trilogy?
Spider-Man 3 was amazing. That emo Spider-Man, and he's dancing. Oh, he's had some dance moves there, eh?
Okay, so the plot of this movie... is very... Okay, I'm trying to think of how we can actually word this, because essentially it starts off with two different plots going on at once, which is there's the past of the two main characters.
Flashbacks are cut intermittently between...
And then there's the present. And essentially what's happening in the present is they're trying to capture evidence that this mirror has some sort of ghost or entity of sorts that had caused their dad to murder their mother,
yes,
and whatnot, and a bunch of other murders that happen. And then through the course of the movie, it does this really nice, seamless cutting between, the flashbacks and what's happening in the present, and also shows, how it's, really messing with these two characters' minds, and you kind of feel like you're in that setting where you just don't really know what is going on. Yeah, until the very end, and it's just this was like an acid trip of some sorts.
Yeah, the movie itself had a very, very good use of editing in the with the present day and the past, which was
the cinematography and the editing, which were both done by the director.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Mike Flanagan or Fallion or Irish.
It was absolutely superb.
He did a pretty good job. Not every director can edit their own movie. Well, not to toot any horns, but meat.
But beyond that, I think that's much where a lot of the high praises go. Beyond that, the movie just kind of settles into this mediocrity. It's a good movie. Let's get that out of the way. It's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. It's good.
I wouldn't say it was a terrible movie. I wouldn't say it was great. I would say, for me,
it's okay, good.
It would most likely be right on par. It was... I don't feel like I wasted my time viewing it.
Oh god, no.
But I don't feel like I gained anything from it. I don't feel like I'm going to be, raving about this movie. So if somebody asked me, Dylan, what do you think about Oculus? I would be like, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. It was okay. It was alright. But, I'd say watch it, but I don't think I left feeling overly satisfied. I'm kind of on the tipping point. Anything which way would have swayed me, I'm on the fence, basically. There's good, bad. I'm, right about here.
One other good thing about this is the kid that plays the younger Amy Pond person.
Her name's Kaylee? Was it? It was Kaylee.
I think so. The younger Kaylee was actually really good. Actually, go on for the male kid. He wasn't that bad either.
Yeah,
or
but
kid
he
actors.
reminded me too much of Freddy from I Am Carly, or iCarly. I Am Carly. I am Carly, I want to see my Dawn.
But,
iCarly.
They weren't that bad. Well, anyways, the younger Kaylee kid, she was pretty good. Like, there were moments where it's just like, wow, I'm really invested in, like, her emotions. She's, like, playing it really well.
Yeah, she did a pretty good job. She was alright. She wasn't
The
bad.
acting in this was okay. I mean, it worked so well with the movie, but that's about it of the movie. I mean, there's not too much. I mean, obviously we're going to spoil it in a second.
Yeah.
Everyone dies. No, no.
A giant nuke.
So as this mind screwy is going on, what they have set up in the present days, because of course in the end they want to destroy the mirror after they've gathered evidence. That's the ultimate goal, and what they've done, because apparently no matter what you do, you can't destroy the mirror, because the mirror, that's part of its self-defense system, is you can never hit the mirror.
It tricks you in a sense to thinking that
It
in the film it shows the two kids just wailing. It's from the side wailing with these golf clubs on the mirror, and then it reveals that
then you see
they were hitting off to the side. They were hitting the wall beside the mirror, and it's tricking them thinking that they're hitting it. In reality, it's just been
and
like
there's multiple other times where you kind of see that too, where they try to hit it, or like the one where the guy's gonna hit it, and he starts talking, and he's like, she's like, why did you put the chair down? It's like.
The thing took over his mind for, like, not in a sense took over mind, but it persuaded him, just like, you don't want to hurt me.
His Jedi powers.
The mirror's just like, I am not the mirror you want to hit. Now you want to...
Anyway, so they have this thing set up, so that way there's no way that they can actually hit the mirror, and it's this weight system where it's just going to go smash into it on a timer unless they set the timer every once in a while for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they're not directly affecting the mirror, and
that way, because the mirror has the power over like human flesh and electronics, because it was shown when every time you picked up the phone and tried to call, it would be the same voice. It would say, "Oh, get your dad to call."
Yeah,
and it had influence over that, but
they had a pulley system.
It was an anchor or something, and it had an extra 20 pounds for like with a dumbbell on the anchor, and it was hooked up to like a kitchen timer, and every like hour the thing would just and it would swing down, although it only swung down once at the very end.
Well, twice to show you.
Demonstrate, yeah. But so that way the mirror itself couldn't
affect it.
Couldn't affect, and you know, like, because it has no control over. It's not electronic. It's just it's weight activated. So boom,
yeah,
it would do that. So that way the mirror's not controlling it, and if the kids, or like if the two characters tried to attack it physically, it would mentally mess with them and make them go off or do something else, like as demonstrated with the kid holding the thing, and he's going to smack the mirror, and then he stops and he turns around to talk to his sister and realizes that he put down the chair, the mirror's already affecting him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a clever way, like that way they're just like, because normally most horror movies they would just throw in, you know, oh, Deus Ex Machina, and they would just be like, oh, or, you know, it doesn't make any sense, there's just a random thing. That's why
another cool thing about this movie is they give this mirror like it's a quick kind of backstory. To not so much of a backstory like in the traditional sense, but so much like
of the victims.
Yeah, who's like had the mirror and what's happened to them. So you see this evidence, but at the same time, like
they don't give any backstory as to where the mirror came from
and why it has a power.
Exactly, why it's got this monster or demon or something living inside it.
Which would have been nice to kind of figure out why, but at the same time, if they did, you could definitely see it would have ruined the movie immensely.
I could possibly see another Oculus, like an Oculus 2.
Yeah, because they do leave it at the end. They could.
Considering
if they want to.
Considering how the end actually happens.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, what happens in the end is they end up calling police like prior because shit's going down, yes. And the guy gets at one point the guy gets up and he's like, okay, we gotta destroy it. Well, essentially that's what he's thinking. We gotta destroy the mirror. He thinks he's the only one in the room, and he basically just pushes the timer forward. The thing goes, and
in her own flashback, Kaylee, who is played by Karen Gillian, is at the mirror, looking at her mother through the mirror, and the mom's just like, "It's okay, I may be dead, but I'm all right," and she gives her a hug. Mm-hmm. But they don't realize that they're in the same room. So basically, he activated this pulley switch as she's standing right in front of the mirror. the mirror's playing with both their minds, and effectively he kills his own sister with this right into the back of the head.
Once again, like, not so much effectively, but like...
But the mirror also succeeds in saving itself, because it had a flesh bag in front of the mirror.
Which apparently stops it.
The body took all the weight. Like, but she got it at the back of the neck.
So, like, something would have gone through, but apparently it doesn't.
I think maybe it went through back here, but it came out, like, kind of like through here, and just, like, slammed into the thing.
Must have, but...
But the mirror
still.
Effectively saved itself, got the kid arrested, and one is now a victim, and now shiny-eyed ghost, as we would call it.
Yeah, and basically the movie ends with the brother who accidentally killed the sister being taken to jail in the cop car.
Which reflects the original, because the mom is murdered by the father.
Mm-hmm. And then the brother murders the father. Well, not so much, but the father kind of commits suicide, but he technically...
Suicide by son. The son basically tells him to get on the floor, because he says, "Let go of my sister." He's pointing down at him, and the father, I guess, thinks, or he regains consciousness, and he remembers that he's not a bad person, and he knows that he's done all this. So he grabs the son, and he puts his finger on the trigger, and just pulls the trigger for his son.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots himself, but he shoots him because the kid's finger was already on the trigger. So, in a sense,
yeah.
assisted suicide, I'd call it.
Yeah.
Or manslaughter, I don't know. There's
whatever those technical terms are.
There's a term for it somewhere.
So, and then, of course, they have, like, these cameras going so they can, like, record it, because, like, apparently it messes with your mind and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's just so neat because, like, you see, like, what they see, and then when they go look at the footage, you see what actually happened.
The first time they did that, when they showed, like, they came back and the cameras were facing each other.
And they're having the same conversation, and they're setting it up, and it's like, oh my god.
I thought that was really cool. But what I also like were the lack of jump scares.
Yeah, that's another thing. This movie has, like, no jump scares. Like, the only thing, like...
it's got a couple, but it's very, very atmospheric.
Yeah, like, it doesn't actually, like, jump at you. Like, I think the only thing that really got me was when the dad goes to shoot his gun, and you obviously know what's going to happen, but I mean, just the sound of it kind of takes you.
Yeah, because it's a very quiet, it's a touching scene, and then all of a sudden, bang, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the one scene that really got me was when the son opened the door. It's a flashback in the house, and he opens the door. He's like, "Dad," and you see the woman behind him, and she kind of turns. It's very dark. You can just see her eyes turn, and then all of a sudden, you see her hand grace the side of the door, and she just kind of peers like this. I was just like, that's kind of freaky. I was uncomfortable.
That's one of the cool things about it. Is it just
but there was no like dun 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 kind of music. It was just kind of
it's so atmospheric.
You're just like, oh, that's unsettling. What the fuck is that?
Like you could totally see why people say this is like as great or like is like the next great thing since Conjuring, because it has so many of those atmospheric moments that we expect from that we saw in like Conjuring or technically the first Insidious, sort of, where it has these atmospheric moments for its horror, and that's what just is great. But I mean, there's a lot of things that really don't work so well with it. It just ends up being so mediocre, even though it has so many really good things about it.
Yeah, like.
But it just comes off like, well, I experienced that.
They say, oh, every 45 minutes we have to change the tapes in the camera. They only changed them once, and that was when they were re-filming something. They were going back to do something like that, and that's never brought up again. The alarm clocks every once in a while go off for them to hydrate. They only hydrate and eat something like once or maybe like one and a half times.
Not so much a scare, but one of the things I saw coming was like they were to change the light bulbs, and they were also eating an apple at the same time.
That was in the trailer.
Was it? I never saw the trailer for this.
No, that was in the trailer. I knew that was happening.
But like she goes to pick up her apple, and then when she bites into it, you hear the crunch sound of a light bulb, and you're like, "Oh, she just ate a light bulb." Saw that one, but then she goes to pick up the pieces of the light bulb, and she's bleeding, and then it cuts to the brother like catching her attention, and she's actually eating her apple, and she has the piece in her mouth. And
yeah, she's basically like pulling out this giant piece of glass. She's like, and her brother's just like, "Haley, are you all right?" And she snaps back to reality. She's got a half-eaten apple and like the skin. She's just like, "I'm fine." Just like puts it back in her mouth. Like, I think we should stay together.
Which they don't.
Yeah.
Well, technically. Because that's the thing. Right after that point, like they well, even before that, but more so right after that bit, the flashbacks and the present start like mixing together a lot.
Yeah,
and it just messes with your mind
it's
so much.
It's very trippy in the sense that
it is like a quote unquote acid trip almost, because like it really messes with you.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like I'd say the end of that would be very similar to
Jacob's Ladder almost, like
Jacob's Ladder, maybe the first Insidious as well, because there's a lot of moments in that where the characters, sometimes some of the things that are happening, like the guy wakes up and he's just like, oh, Renee, the mom's from Insidious, he's like, Renee, and he looks around, he realizes that he's a ghost in this world and he's still there, and they're kind of like mixing between.
Yeah.
So the ending of this, when all the like the flashbacks and present day are kind of mixing together, it's very reminiscent of Insidious.
Yeah. So I think we've hit all the things that we really wanted to talk about.
That the music was shit.
Yeah, the music was just very forgettable. And like
it's like the opening to every Call of Duty, or like the main menu to Call of Duty or Battlefield. It's very electronic, like bass heavy, but
it
like
just serves to kind
bass.
of exist there for when they don't want to be silent, which is okay. But I mean, like it's not going to stand out.
Yeah, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Like it's. Like somebody's playing, like plucking a bass, but there's heavy distortion.
Like anyone could do the music for it, essentially.
Yeah. So that's a reference, like the Newton brothers. I remember reading that in the credits. The Newton brothers did that. Oh, terrible! It was like just,
I don't even know who they are.
Neither do I.
They sound familiar, but only because Newton.
It's just heavy, like bass electronica, just for like.
But like I said, it works for it, but it really doesn't.
Yeah.
Amount to anything.
They're composing the music for it, like the underscore, but other than that, it's bland, it's forgettable, and it's very cliched of what the kind of music you would expect in a second-rate horror movie would be.
So I mean, at the end of the day, would I recommend seeing it? Definitely. I mean, definitely go see it. You're not going to be disappointed seeing it, but don't expect anything amazing out of it.
Yeah. Just expect another movie experience.
I guess I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5. I'm kind of like, yeah, 5.5. It wasn't.
I mean, it could be the best horror movie this year. I never saw Devil's Due. We only saw Paranormal Activity, and that wasn't all that great.
Paranormal Activity. That's okay. We get number 5 coming out in October. 2 Paranormal Activities in 1 year.
I'm not looking forward to it.
No, nobody is. But except for the directors. They're making money.
So yeah, Amy Pond's movie. See it.
Yeah.
Mirai.
Yeah.
Is that the movie should just end up being called I? But I mean, then people are gonna think it's that other movie that called I that had like 3 sequels.
Was another movie called I? Was it a Japanese original?
I started as a Japanese
That's
original.
what I thought.
But then the American version I think had like.
It's just like one of the original ones, and then they remade it, and now it's called not Prime.
It's called I. There's there's I2, and there's I3.
What's the one where there's like she's printing? There's like 3 movies of this, and she's printing all these pieces of paper, and she's putting them on the ground. And it makes like one big. It's Prime. Is it Prime? It's got to be Prime. Hold on, I gotta search this. Like it's.
I think Amanda Bynes was in the I movie, but I could be wrong. Maybe something looks like her.
Prime. Is it Prime? Or is it Surge? It's Surge. What do I think Surge? Surge.
I don't know. Why do you think Surge?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember what. Guys, I'm gonna be up until 3 o'clock in the morning now, and I'm just gonna wake up and just be
you're
like,
gonna text me.
It's this! I found it!
George, it's this movie. I found it. Add it into the video. Tell them I found it. Tell them what it is.
What movie is it? This is driving me insane. There's 3 sequels of it. Is it?
Is it Grudge? Because there's 3 of those, I'm sure.
No, it's not Grudge. Prime. Wait, hold on. No, Prime's a 2005 romantic horror movie, or romantic movie directed by Ben Younger. No, it's not at all. What goddamn movie is it? Oh, this is driving me nuts.
Movie, you are tearing me apart.
I love you, babe. I can't remember. So.
I watch you later.
Ah, Daddy. She's my princess.